right, welcome to Press Pass Live. Thank you again for tuning in to your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. And I can't believe it, the playoffs are here and we have a lot to talk about. So let me go ahead and shut up, bring in my co-host here. We're still missing our buddy Huday, who is still trying to recover from some health issues, but we're crossing fingers and legs and toes and everything, hoping that he will be back here very, very soon. But until then, we still have our other co-host with us, D-Wayne, holding it down all the way from Arkansas. Boo, Arkansas, but welcome in, D-Wayne.
Glad to be here, Nate. How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Of course, I'm just picking with you. LSU fan, we're supposed to hate Arkansas, right? That's how it works.
That's right.
Well, Wayne, we got a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right in there. Usually we were trying our very best, but with the holidays, we couldn't hook up right before the playoff game started. And there have been a few playoff games that have been played. But nonetheless, we're going to cover it. We're going to give you our predictions, and we're going to talk about it. So let me go ahead and tell you who made it. The Bengals, the Patriots, the Jaguars, and the Denver Broncos all won their divisions. Of course, Denver barely squeaked out against Kansas City and Oakland and San Diego. That was a really tight race there. And then Miami and the Houston Texans went ahead and took those wild card spots. The Baltimore Ravens were just barely on the outside looking in. And even the Colts made a nice run there at the very end to make that a very, very close race. Hopping over to the AFC, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Falcons, and the 49ers won all of their divisions. Something happened with those Seahawks lately. They kind of fell off those last few games, and man, the 49ers snatched that up quick. But the Seahawks did make the wild card along with the Redskins, and that is your playoff setting for the AFC and the NFC in the playoffs. So let's break it down. I'll cover the few scores that have came out already. You got Washington and Philadelphia who played. Let me see if I can bring that up. Philadelphia wins 21-19. That was a very close game. Philadelphia had scored late. I think there was like a minute 9 left. Washington drives all the way down, scores the touchdown, but needed the 2-point conversion to actually tie that game. Stats aren't coming up here. And they missed it. The Eagles picked it off in the end zone. They ended up winning the game. So a nice victory for Ducks and his Eagles. Of course, Ducks is a 2-time champion here this Madden, and he's looking to go ahead and put some more championships in his container. Then we look over the AFC and you got the Texans and the Jaguars. This game, the Texans jumped out to a big lead, and the Jaguars made some outstanding plays to make that really close in the third quarter. But then the Texans just had too much firepower. They really were able to get up on the Jaguars late in that game, early and late in that game. They win 32-17, and those are the two races that have happened so far. Still to play tonight, we've got Miami and Denver, Seattle and Minnesota. I think Seattle and Minnesota is scheduled to go off, if it hasn't started already, because I don't know if it was 7 Central or 8 Central. If it hasn't went off already, it's going to go off in the next 30 minutes. Miami and Denver, I'm not 100%. Denver's made another year game. How do you see it as a whole working out? You got the Cincinnati who've only lost 3 games. One of those mighty teams is off, and then you still got New England, who's always, always, always in the playoff picture. How do you see this breaking out?
Oh man, it's gonna be like I said, just started off with the Texans Jaguars game surprised me. Not any disrespect to Massimo, but I did not think that Brady would give up 32 points and turn the ball over the way he did. And congrats to Massimo on taking Brady out of his element. But the 2 games that are left, Miami and Denver is going to be a very intriguing matchup. You got 2 aired out offenses. I honestly have not. Denver's really disappointed me this year at 9-7. I thought this would be their year to take it over.
They're
I
a
do
confusing team. Now, I want you to talk about that, but they were a team early in the first couple of seasons, was powerhouse, 10, 11, 12 win team, and then all of a sudden they kind of fell off. I don't even think they made the playoffs last year. And then this year, if Kansas City, if Ziploc doesn't leave, they probably don't even make the playoffs again this season. That's a confusing team to get your head around.
Oh, you said it all right there. like I said, the first couple of seasons he was just dominating that division. And like I said, last year he slipped, and this year he's been so inconsistent, almost to the same point of Miami. We talked about earlier this year. Miami is so inconsistent, winning games they shouldn't win, and losing games they should win. Denver's went so back and forth, and they just got lucky this year that, like I said, Ziploc checked out for a while. Oakland showed a little resurgence, but didn't come back, and the Chargers just dropped an egg after showing so much promise last year. I think Miami rides the momentum. The last couple of games they really hit hard, and I think he rides momentum in there to Denver. Now, Blaze, you might surprise us because I know you can't count you out in any game, but I do think Miami rides this one out, rides momentum into the playoffs, and I guess it'd be a slight upset over Denver. Seattle, Minnesota is another one that's going to be a fun game to watch. The Kingpin, I think, for the first 3 seasons, led the league in passing. He runs a crazy offense, and like I said, now he's got a quarterback, that can play in that system. And I'm not sure. I know I watched the Week 16 game. It could be a big game changer. Bridgewater got hurt in Week 17. I don't know if he's still hurt or if it was more than one game. And like I said, I don't know if you know anything about that. That could be a big deal if he loses Bridgewater. And then, like I said, you got Mo. Mo is just an offensive juggernaut. Like I said, he slipped. I think he started the season out this year 8-1 or 8-2 maybe, and slipped towards the end of the season. Just kind of slid into the playoffs. But you can't ever count Mo out. He's got 2 receivers that are burners. He's got Wilson, who is second in the league this year in QB rating. And he put it all together. I know he slipped towards the end of the season, but you can never count Mo out.
Now, I looked it up, and it does say Teddy Bridgewater is out for 7 weeks. Now, we do know that sometimes Daddy Leagues is not 100% on all the correct stats on these things, but let's put a little pin in that. Let's go back to the AFC. You were kind of breaking down, of course, Denver and Jacksonville and, Houston. Not really shocking because I think we all understand that Massimo is a very, very good player. Of course, he went through major life changes with a baby, and so it took him a couple of seasons where probably not sleeping and getting used just to the way your life changes when a baby comes in. But he is definitely back and playing much better football. Overall, though, of course, we still have Miami and Denver to play, and then you got New England and Cincinnati who are sitting and waiting for all those guys. Break down the AFC all the way to the championship game. Who do you see making it all the way? Who's kind of your dark horse? Who do you see waiting in the championship game for the OMFL Bowl?
Well, like I said, I don't want Massimo to take that as a shot. Massimo is a great player. After playing Brady, this season I gained a lot of respect for Brady's game. I just didn't see somebody dropping 32 points on Brady. And like I said, congrats to him. I think it's going to be Houston, and I think Houston plays the Bengals next round. And if all correct, the Dolphins, I have them to beat the Broncos. He'll play the Pats, which is crazy because that'll be another AFC East matchup in the divisional round. I guess it's divisional round. Yeah, divisional round.
Yeah.
Those games are all intriguing. I do think, and in this side, of course, I think Houday is the man to beat. I think he's going to be tough. I think Massimo's going to have his hands full because as great as Brady is, he has nowhere near the offensive firepower that Houday has. Houday has a team that can put up 40 points on anybody, and he can put it up so fast. It's crazy. I do think it's going to take a lot for the Texans to upset the Bengals, and I'm going to, and no offense, Massimo, I'm going to have to go with the Bengals in this one. I just don't see it happening. Ever since when he made the playoffs last year, 7-9, Houday has been on a tear through this league. If you want to count that, I think he went 4-1 the playoffs last year. He's 17-4 in his last 21 games. That's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
And like I said, I think the Dolphins and Pats, it's going to be another good. I think every game they've had this season has went down to the wire. And I know the playoffs is a whole nother ball game. If I'm not mistaken, Miami won 32-28 the first time they played.
Yep.
And he lost 36-31 the second time they played.
And that was another really tight game. I think that went down to the very wire.
Yeah, it did. That's almost, I hate to say, a coin toss, but both those teams could come out. And I'm gonna have to call my upset on this one. I think the Dolphins keep riding the momentum, and I think that they keep it on going. Like I said, I watched him play. I think it was Ducks at the end of the season. He was down 14 points, with a minute and a half left, and he's a holding call away from winning that game. And I know one play doesn't change a game, but he had. I mean, he showed a lot the last couple weeks after he was so inconsistent the whole season. He showed a lot, and I do think. I think he upsets. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think he could go either way. I think he upsets the Pats, and I think it's Bengals versus Dolphins in the AFC Championship game. And I just can't. I can't count out. I don't think anybody has a defense, and somebody's going to prove me wrong. And I hope somebody does for that fact that I'm not taking any shots at any teams. I just don't think anybody can stop Huday's offense. I think he can put 40 points up on anybody, all 32 teams in this league on a good day. And like I said, he's firing on all cylinders the last season and a half. And I think Houday and the Bengals come out of the AFC.
So you're taking the Houday and the Bengals all the way to the championship for another OMFL Bowl appearance. Now, you said it just perfectly. This was an 8-8 team at best for many of the seasons here, and then all of a sudden, late last season, he got really hot. I've played this team, and we'll kind of get to my thoughts on them here in just a second. We do have Miami and Denver. This is what Miami has done to me. I just don't know what they are. I don't know if they're the team who beats the Patriots by 14 or if they're the team that loses to the Browns. Like they're just all over the place for me. It's really hard for me to understand exactly what that team's going to be like. And then you have Denver, excuse me, who now for a while has been a little bit up and down and really just got gifted a playoff game here. So I'm going to reluctantly pick Miami because I do think that they're in a roll there. And if it's Miami and New England, I do think it's a toss-up. I've got to take New England just for my own sanity's sake. I just don't think that every time I count on Miami to be that team, every time I count on Miami to come out of nowhere and to be that dark horse, to be that Cinderella, to be the Bengals that they've been since they turned it on, they let me down, and they let me down in a big way. So he's got to prove something. Now, he definitely has it. He did beat New England before this season, but I just think that New England's 11-5. They're more steady. I just got to take the steady team. Then you got Cincinnati and New England. They would make it all the way. Again, I think Houston and Cincinnati is a very intriguing matchup. Houston, again, is my Cinderella if I had to pick one in this playoff, the dark horse that could be the Bengals like they were last season and go all the way to the bowl. That would be the Houston Texans. They just have a lot of firepower. They're just going to have to stop turning the ball over. That is their issue, their quarterback. And it's going to be a game. If he and the Bengals match up, it's going to be a game between two rookie quarterbacks, both who struggled turning the ball over. Again, I've played the Bengals this season, though. The thing about the Bengals, to me, it wasn't their offense that was astonishing. I think it's a typical rookie quarterback. He can make all the throws, but he can also make some terrible mistakes. It was their defensive line. I think he had 5 or 6 sacks against me. He harassed me all day long, had negative rushing yards for a top 5 running back in the league all the way up to the second half. He just was constantly with pressure from all 4 sides, defensive tackles, defensive ends. They were just kind of all over you all game long. That allowed his other guys, you had to force some passes. You had to get the ball out of there quicker than you wanted to, allowed you to turn the ball over more than you probably would. That defensive line wasn't getting so much pressure. And I think that's what kind of separates Cincinnati and what makes them so good is he does have the playmakers passing the ball and on offense and catching the ball. But man, that defensive line put some pressure. So that would put for me New England and Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. And I just can't pick against Houday. I mean, the guy's 13-3, even with everything that he's been going through. He has been absolutely red hot since the playoffs of last year. And no one in this AFC playoff outside of Houston has really even looked like a threat. I just don't see Miami doing it. I don't think that New England cares to do it. I don't think that they don't care. I mean, they're 11-5. I just don't think that they have like the passion to make it. I could see Cincinnati lulling them to sleep and winning that game. Jacksonville's out of it. There's the defense that could have made that an interesting game. Of course, Kansas City was everyone's kind of eyeballing to maybe make that run this year. And of course, he had to leave us due to work and life. So I've got Cincinnati going all the way also. You and I agree there. We just kind of disagree on how that works out. Now let's turn our attention back over to the NFC. Now, we were talking about the Philadelphia Eagles winning their division. The Minnesota Vikings, we're talking about the injury to Teddy Bridgewater. Of course, your Falcons went 12-4 again this season. And then the San Francisco 49ers, really, I've been bragging on them for 2 seasons. And finally, that's coming to fruition. You see them at 12-4. Those are your division winners. And then, of course, Cincinnati and who's the other team? Help me out. Oh, Washington. That's right. Washington made it. Now, that Washington-Philadelphia game should be an instant classic. That's something I'm going to try to start this playoff run. We're going to start some instant classic games. We'll allow a forum submission where you guys can submit. You upload it to our YouTube channel. You submit that you think your game and why you think your game was an instant classic. And we're going to keep a thread where those will always be here for as long as we're in existence, which is hopefully another 16 years or so. People will be able to go back and watch games, whole versions of games from this season 71 and on. So that's coming, but that was definitely an instant classic game.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to admit, there were some gameplay issues on both sides there. I seen some middle linebacker roaming on, one of the teams. I seen a lot of defensive adjustments every single play. But you know what? I think those are minor things that we can clean up, and hopefully we can just kind of keep building on what we've built so far this season. But the Philadelphia Eagles sneaking out of there with a win and really a very, very close game should perk everyone's attention in the NFC. But why don't you tell me the rest of your teams? How do you see the NFC breaking down all the way through?
Well, like I said, I think everybody in the NFC has been on I guess like alarm's been going off since Ducks came back, especially seeing him come back in the NFC. I think he's only lost 1 game since he joined back in the league. And I think that was to the Redskins. That's why everybody was so intrigued today to see that game. And like I said, the Redskins match up real well with Ducks. And like I said, it was an instant classic. It came down to the wire. Like I said, it could have went either way. Both teams had some tough breaks, but it was a great way to start off the playoffs. And you got your other games fixing to be the Vikings Seahawks. Like I said, that's gonna be a really fun game to watch. It's tough. It's tough because, like I said, the Kingpin is another one. He's offensively he can.
2 teams with a lot of talent. I just want to throw that, like 2 teams with a ton of physical talent on both sides of the ball.
Oh, you're exactly right. Like I said, Bridgewater. The only thing I got on the Vikings is Bridgewater 12 touchdowns, 33 interceptions this year. He cannot afford throwing interceptions like that in the playoffs.
But he might even be out this game, and we're not 100% sure one way or the other. But according to Daddy League, he's out. He's done for the playoffs.
No, like I said, I watched the game. His last game he had when Bridgewater went down. Like I said, I didn't know if the injury carried over. But Geno Smith is his backup quarterback, and if I'm not mistaken, he didn't do very good. Geno Smith's QB rating on the season right now, and I don't know if it was just that one game, is a 31 QB rating. Just let that sink in, a 31 QB rating.
That's not going to cut it against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm telling you right now.
It's not. And like I said, he has the second to last rushing attack in the league, so he cannot, unless he just changes game, he's not going to be able to fall back. 58 yards a game rushing. He's relied on that passing game all season long in his defense. And he's just going to have a hard time. If Bridgewater's not there to match up against Mo and the Seahawks, because the Seahawks, if I'm not mistaken, were top 5 passing in the league. I'm actually wrong. Top 5 scoring. They're 24 points a game. Second best defense points wise and third best yardage wise. It's going to be hard to score. And like I said, if he lost his starting quarterback, his chances went slim to beat Mo. I think Mo.
Here's the stat you were looking for, just for Geno, real quick: 8 for 21 for 89 yards. That's not going to work.
You're gonna have to play. I don't know. He's gonna have to turn around. Hopefully, for his sake, Bridgewater, the data leagues is wrong and Bridgewater comes back. I hope so, because like I said, if not, you got a guy with 8 for 21 going against the number 2 rated pass defense in the league, and you're 31st in rushing. So you can't, unless you change something up, you can't fall back on your rushing game. It's gonna be tough to beat Mo. I would never count the Kingpin all the way out. if I had to pick, I think Mo takes a slight upset, 5 seed over 4 seed, just for the fact that if Bridgewater's hurt, I don't think Geno Smith, and I don't think he can pull it out with Geno Smith. Prove me wrong, the Kingpin. There's no disrespect, but I know how it sucks to have a quarterback. I think my second or third season here, Ryan went down, and it's a whole different world with a backup quarterback. And with those games, it would be the Seahawks at the Falcons, and Eagles at 49ers. Eagles 49ers would be a fun matchup to watch. The 49ers kind of caught me off guard this year because I've seen him in the league, but he's always played. I guess when he was at the Chargers, he never had a great team. He took over his favorite team, the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. And last year, I can't remember his exact record, but then this year he came out and he fired all cylinders. Fourth rated defense points, yards on defense. The guy, and I played him, he has a suffocating defense. And defense wins championships in this league. You got to be able to stop the other team. And I still think if he had, and he has Scott Wang as his quarterback, and he didn't have a bad season. 21 touchdowns, 17 picks, 2,500 yards passing, only 80 rating. He threw, that's too many interceptions. But I would hate to see him with a marquee quarterback. He would be really scary because the game I played against him, Wang missed a lot of throws. He should have beat me. But you cannot afford to turn it over against Ducks and the Eagles. If you give Ducks the ball, if you give him turnovers, give him interceptions, he just feeds off of it. And you cannot help him out in any way possible. I think anybody's going to play their best game to play the Eagles, and they might want to jump on it this year because once he gets his guys in there, it's going to be even tougher to beat the Eagles. That's going to be a tough one. It would be a bad thing about it. It's going to be an upset, a slight upset, if the 49ers beat the Eagles, even though he's a higher seed. I just don't know if Wayne can throw it around that vaunted defense and Deion Jones, who ends the season with 10 interceptions. I just don't know if he can defeat that. Because Ducks doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He's turned the ball over more this last 3 or 4 games than I think I've ever seen him do it. But he's not going to beat himself. And so you can't beat yourself. And I think the Eagles come out on top of that one. And I would say like a 24-14 game, maybe 21-10. It's not going to be an outrageously high-scoring game. You got 2 great defenses. I think Wang is going to be the X factor. I think if he has a great game, he has a chance to beat the Eagles. But if he has a subpar game, you can just cut it dry. He's not going to beat the Eagles if Wang don't play his best game. If you want to comment on that one, if you could, Nate.
Just kind of the games that you've talked about so far, I do like San Francisco. I've been bragging on them for a couple of seasons now. I just think that for me, San Francisco, Minnesota, both fall into the same bucket. Washington's already gone, but San Francisco, Minnesota, to an extent, very little extent, Philadelphia, quarterback play is the key. Now, I think the reason I say a little extent just depends on what Ducks does with his quarterback. I think his quarterback is outstanding, great ratings, and Ducks plays very well with him. But with Wang and with Geno Smith or Teddy Bridgewater, I just think that both of them are missing the quarterback situation. And in the playoffs, that's going to hurt you. So, to me, both of those teams are out. I think that the games that are going to be intriguing are you and Seattle. I think that that's going to be an intriguing matchup. Even if somehow, some way, the Vikings get in there, I think that you would handle the Vikings much better with no rushing attack, the way you play rush defense. I think Seattle would give you a much better game. He has the quarterback that can make you pay down the field. I think he would have a balanced attack, and he plays really great defense. So that's the matchup I think I'm most interested in seeing in the NFC is Atlanta-Seattle. And that I think it's a toss-up. I think for me, I have to, even though I want to pick for Seattle, I want to go for my division buddy. I cannot pick against a 2-time back-to-back champion who's been in this as long as you have and played as well as you have. So I do like Atlanta in that game for that reason. I do like Philly to come out of the San Francisco game for the same reasons. I just think that Wayne won't be able to make those throws that he needs to make against Philly. And then that would put, for me, Philly, Atlanta, in the NFC Championship game. And then I think it's a toss-up. You two played in the OMFL Bowl 2 seasons ago, whatever that was. Buffalo jumped out to a big lead. You made that roaring comeback, and you've been red hot ever since. You've won that game, and then went on to win 2 back-to-back champions, and now 12-4 with another NFC South Division title in your pocket. So I think that's a complete toss-up. I like Seattle, Atlanta. I think that if you're able to beat Seattle, and in history would say that you would, that you will learn some lessons there that will benefit you against Philadelphia. And then you being at home is going to also benefit you, just that home field advantage. And then I think it's a toss-up. I'll tell him this. I don't like that Philadelphia has set Freeman. I think that it's just, look, Ducks, you know how you are, okay? You know I love you. I wouldn't let you back if I didn't love you. I'm glad you're back. You're a little sensitive, so don't. We're just talking football, okay? All right, we're running a podcast here. We gotta just be honest and give people some stuff. So here's my hot take, and my hot take is that he is only sitting Freeman to flip the middle bird to the league and prove a point. Like Ducks is like that. He will just like prove a point to the league that he can win without the number 1 rated running back, the number 1 paid running back in the league, who you personally at the Atlanta Falcons led the league in rushing, who the computer I think was number 3 or 4 in the league in rushing with him that season that they had to play, and that was with some losses throughout the season. I think that he's proving a point, and I think that point's going to come back to haunt him because he's going to need that rushing attack against you, and I think it would make a beautiful story for Freeman to come back to Atlanta and really make those Atlanta Falcons pay for not paying him. So I think there's a lot of storylines there. I do think, though, I got to keep putting my money where it's been good, and so far it's been good with the Atlanta Falcons. I look for a rematch of last season's bowl game, Atlanta and the Cincinnati Bengals. We can break that game down. There we go. I can spit it out in further detail. I'll get your thoughts, especially to see how you think things are going to break out. But I got to take Atlanta for their 3rd straight Super Bowl victory. I think that the Bengals just don't have the firepower. The way you play defense is you shut people's run down, you force them to pass, and you pick off their passes, and you play sustaining drives, clock-eating drives on offense, and that just makes you really tough to beat. So I'm picking Atlanta to win the whole thing. 3rd straight OMFL Bowl championship. Probably not good for our league, but it's good for you.
Well, I appreciate that, Nate. It's funny thing about the NFC is the Ducks is a 3rd seed, but I still think everybody, including myself, looks at Ducks as a team to beat. And I'm not trying to pump your head, Ducks. I like you. You're a heck of a competitor. You make it interesting. You make everything interesting. The chat, the game, the way you sit my star running back all season. When Freeman's is a stud. Like I said, he's the team to beat in the NFC. And you said it well about my matchup against Mo. Is Mo has such an air raid attack, and my team is built to stop the run and make them beat me with the pass. And Mo is somebody who can beat you with the pass. He's got 2 receivers who are super fast guys. And like I said, if I had to say one weakness, my secondary is speed. And if you let those guys get behind you, Mo will tear you up. But if you had a matchup between me and Ducks, like I said, it's a tale of 2 different things. I'm old school. I control the defensive line. I love to hit the quarterback in the mouth with Clowney or Kerrigan. And Ducks is the new age Deion Jones, Rome, and he is probably the best user linebacker guy we have in the whole league. He will make you pay if you throw an errant pass or try to force passes. And unlike a lot of guys who use their linebackers, Ducks can also shut the run down with you. And that's a big difference between most guys. If you play somebody who plays user linebacker, you usually pick on them with a running back because they drop back in coverage. You just attack, and you can't do that with Ducks. Ducks is a good enough player. I've seen him switch between everybody in the secondary to just kind of throw you off. It'll be a fun one. I'm not going to say I can beat Ducks. I'm like you. I think it's a toss-up. I think it's whoever jumps out and gets to establish their philosophy.
You can't say that. You beat him 2 seasons ago. You can't say I'm not going to say I can beat him, but I just beat him 2 seasons ago for a championship. Yes, you have to say I can beat him. You don't have to say you will beat him, but you can beat him. You beat him 2 seasons ago.
Well, I like those choices. I like those choice of words. I can beat him. Uh, but 2 seasons ago, I will say this. I think Ducks. I think he got real lax against me, and I hate to say it like that because I don't think he underestimated me as much as
I
he thought he had the
100%
game in the
agree.
bag.
100%
He thought
agree
he
with
had the
you.
game in the bag, and he called a few plays at the end that were high risk plays, and my guys just made a play on it. Like I said, Ducks is going to be a tough matchup, no matter how you look at it. I think it's a toss up. I think it's whoever gets to come out and establish their game plan. Because Ducks is one. Ducks don't throw 80-yard passes. Ducks grinds it out, and there is nothing worse on defense than have somebody have a 12-play, 75-yard, 6-minute drive. That is a punch. That's a punch in the stomach. That hurts. Um,
All right, stop giving Ducks a hand job and tell me who's winning this game.
uh, like I said, that's a tough one. I do think I would like to say that it's going to be a rematch of last year. I've really prepared myself to play Ducks. Not that I'm overlooking Mo or the Kingpin. I've really prepared myself to play Ducks. I've watched almost every game he's had since he's been back in the league because I figured at the end of the season it was going to come down. Whoever wants to go the Super Bowl is going to have to go through Ducks. And I think anybody in the NFC can agree with that. Um, I think it's going to be the Falcons and Bengals again. I think in retrospect, you said that you wish you'd see him play Freeman. I think him not playing Freeman is going to hurt him because Freeman is a all-star back. Smallwood's good, and you make Smallwood look good. But like I said, I come out and I want to stop the run. And Freeman, you can try to stop Freeman, and he'll still go past you. I don't think Smallwood has that game-changing ability. I do think it's going to be the Falcons and Bengals again.
What a name, Smallwood, for a running back. I hope that Smallwood is the best man at you and Ducks' wedding here, because you guys seem to be like, you really love this dude, man. You talk so much good about him. I don't know if you want to beat him on the playoff field or if you just want to lay down and let him have another championship here. I'm missing some fieriness from you. It's not really what I expected.
Well, I don't want to give no poster board material. I don't want to give him nothing. He takes everything and
But
uses
you don't have
motivation.
to give the man a love letter either.
I'm hoping he laxes again. I'm hoping he relaxes and overlooks me, and we'll take it from there.
But
It'll
you're
change.
picking like me. You're picking like me. We're seeing a Falcons, or you're hoping. I get it. I'm not trying. I'm just look. We're doing a podcast, all right. I'm just trying to give some stuff out there to make this interesting and not boring, where we're always agreeing with each other. But look, Ducks is a great player, and I do think that's a toss-up game. It'll be fun. So you're hoping that you can beat Ducks. You're picking yourself to beat Ducks. Of course, nobody would pick themselves to lose. So we are both seeing this come down to a Falcons Bengals matchup in the OMFL Bowl. You've heard my take on it. I know that, look, you're caught here. You love Ducks. You love everybody. Look, everybody loves Wayne. Wayne's the good dude in our league. Everybody loves him. You and Houday and me, we're like really close friends. So, look, don't say, I know you're not going to say anything bad about the guy, but tell me, how do you see this playing out? Or at least give me your strategy kind of moving into this game if this is the way it breaks out and you face Cincinnati for OMFL Bowl.
I mean, Houday knows how to beat me. I know how to beat him. We both know our strategies. I'm going to try to take the deep ball away from Houday. I'm going to try to make him run the ball and run into my front seven, who I am very proud of. I love my front seven, my front four defensive line, my linebackers. I love them. And I want you to run through them to beat me. And I don't, unless he gets some receivers behind my secondary, and that's without Clowney getting any pressure, that's the only way he beats the Falcons is air raid. Because I'm not gonna let him run the ball. And in retrospect, I think that Houday wants me to pass the ball. I think he wants to take it out of Murray, Dixon, and Ward's hands. Which Brady, I want to shout out to you. I stole your 3 running back idea. But I think he wants me to pass the ball because, like I said, you pass the ball enough, you're going to turn the ball over. And I think that's what a lot of these guys are. These guys have 25, 30 interceptions. If you throw the ball 40 times a game, you're going to throw interceptions. And I don't think you should have to. I do not want to throw the ball 30 times. I want to control the game, running with it, and I want to pass off my running game. And I think Houday knows that, and Houday knows if he can shut down my run game, he puts me in a tight spot. I think it go either way. I don't think it'll be a blowout. Last year, I was in control the whole game, and Houday almost took it away from me at the end. He's a heck of a player. But like I said, I think it'll come down to the last 2 minutes. And I have a feeling it'll come down to who has the ball last. and it'll be interesting. I might pick a winner if I get closer to the playoffs. Like I said, I don't want to overlook anybody, but it'll come down to it. There's not going to be no blowout in the Super Bowl. If it came down to me and Houday, it'll come right down to the wire. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and like I said, I'm ready.
There you have it. We've spent 20 minutes of a 30-minute podcast talking about how great Ducks is and 5 other minutes about the playoffs. So it's just me. I'm full of piss and vinegar still from the season. But we do have a couple other things that we want to cover here before we move on. I am taking the Falcons to win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. Let's see how this is actually going to break out. But let's talk about a little end of the year voting that's up right now. If you haven't voted, please go do so. The votes are pretty nice. I think we're somewhere between 17 and 22 on all of these. So a lot of people are turning out to vote. We'd love to have close to 32 as we can get. Of course, we're missing 3 owners, so we won't get there. But if everybody could go vote, please do that. Houday does such a good job of giving you the stats, telling the story right there on this voting apparatus that you have, that you can just do that. So let's just go through these one by one. Just spend a few seconds on these. Then we'll get to our last topic outside of the league, our last segment, I should say. Give me who that you like. Offensive Rookie of the Year right now, you got wide receiver Ben Dwight from the Colts, 108 receptions, 1,641 yards, 17 touchdowns. You got Darian Traynor, the quarterback from Texas, 4,689 yards, 36 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, 62% completion percentage. You got Bernard Amy, the running back from the Bengals, over 1,000 yards, 1,025 yards, 17 touchdowns. And they got Duval Arnaud. I'm calling for a recount here. 2 Bengals made the list when the Bengals guy is the one who made the list. So I'm just going to throw that out there at you, Houday. But Duval Arnaud, 3,757 yards, 23 touchdowns, 29 interceptions, 55% completion percentage right now. Ben Dwight is leading. That was my pick. I think that those numbers are just outstanding. Yes, the other guys had great numbers, but you can't beat what Ben Dwight done for his team, and the Colts played red hot at the end. Who do you like here for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, like I said, I'm going to side with you. The other 3 guys, they had great seasons. I'll tell you what, the Bengals running back surprised me. I did not know he had 17 touchdowns. That's a heck of a feat. That is a heck of a feet for a rookie running back. I mean, Ben Dwight earns it. I mean, he's earned it. He's won it. I think he's up right now. 108 receptions, almost 615 yards or 650 yards, excuse me, and 17 touchdowns. That's amazing. That's amazing for a regular receiver. That's a seasoned vet. That's amazing for a rookie receiver, hands down. No disrespect to other guys, but Dwight owns this award.
Yeah, I think that's one. It's pretty much in the bucket. Defensive Rookie of the Year right now, you have the Raiders linebacker Riley Logan, 134 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 1 interception, 23 tackles for loss, 5 forced fumbles. You got the linebacker from the Jaguars, Landon Kratos, I don't know, 126 tackles, 3 interceptions, 6 tackles for loss, 2 touchdowns. Kind of question that, but I'm sure that Houday got this on the video game, not on Daddy League, because Daddy League messes up the touchdowns. You got the Giants linebacker, James Gregory, 55 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 13 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble. The Seahawks have another linebacker. Imagine that. The Seahawks have a linebacker rookie who's playing outstanding. Willie Rowan, 76 tackles, 3 interceptions, 9 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and a touchdown. I personally went with Riley Logan on this one, and I'll tell you why. It was the 23 tackles for loss. The guy was constantly in the backfield. He was making plays on the running back, and 134 tackles is nothing to shake a stick at. I like Riley Logan. Who did you like in this race?
Well, you just took my whole page out of my what I was going to say is the 23 tackles for loss, what separated Logan and Kratos to me. I played against Kratos, and Kratos was a dominating guy. I watched him when he got drafted. I really wanted him, just didn't have a pick that high. He had a great season. The other 2 linebackers had a great season, but these 2 guys completely separated themselves from the pack. The 23 tackles for loss are what separated me, and 5 forced fumbles. That's great. You can tell that guy was just in the backfield knocking heads. And like I said, if he keeps it up, he'll be a mainstay superstar for the Raiders.
Now we're going to move over to Player of the Year for the offense. Offensive Player of the Year. This is the actual Madden player. The Bills had quarterback Brett Hundley, 1,221 yards, 28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, 62% completion percentage, and that was with one game that he had left to play. Texans' Darian Traynor, of course, is right up there with the Rookie of the Year. He's got 4,600, 36, 26. The Jets' Jeremy Langford, who's played outstanding since coming over from Chicago, 1,583 yards, 12 touchdowns, 6.9 yards per carry. And then, of course, the Colts wide receiver, Ben Dwight, 108 receptions, 1,617 touchdowns. I think we find this kind of funny here that Traynor and Dwight are two rookies who are also in there for offensive player of the year. It just goes to show you how well these two rookies have played. And the votes are really spread out almost very even between all four of these guys. And it's a very, very tight race as we move on down to the close. I actually went with Darian Traynor. Why? I don't know. I don't even remember casting this vote. I think I just did it because I do like Ben Dwight, but at the end of the day, Darian was the only guy on this list that got his team into the playoffs. And so for that, I had to give him my vote for Offensive Player of the Year. I do think that Dwight has had the better season, but Traynor got his team in the playoffs and the Colts did not. And so that's why Traynor got my vote.
Well, I just want to throw out there, Houday, it kind of hurt my feelings that Matt Ryan's not on there. I ain't gonna lie to you. I know I threw it out there.
This is the first season that maybe since we've got to this Madden 17, that he has not been on the vote.
I show respect. These guys all had great seasons. I would like to see Ryan on there, but like I said, these are the new faces of the OMFL. I'm not hurt at all, Houday. I'm just messing with you. Like I said, all these guys had great seasons. Langford, I was really excited to see Langford on there. I thought he deserved a little bit of recognition. I don't think he's the winner of it. I was glad to see him get the recognition. I do think that even though Dwight got the Rookie of the Year, I think Traynor was more valuable to his team, as in he was more. I mean, he was everything to Massimo. And like I said, he led them to the playoffs, and that's my Offensive Player of the Year because then that guy was sensational. And I think he was the most valuable player. If you want to look at the definition of that, is he led his team to the playoffs, and the team and the Texans world revolved around him. And I think that's why he deserves the MVP or Offensive Player of the Year.
You and I get along too much. We agree for too many things. Let's move over to the Defensive Player of the Year. You got Rams defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive lineman. I guess you should call him Aaron Donald. 17.5 sacks, 59 tackles, 18 tackles for loss. Look, you can go read all these yourselves. Falcons defensive end, Javon Clowney, 17 sacks on the year. That's why he made the list, along with his 25 tackles for loss. Cornerback TJ Green, 11 interceptions on the year. That's why he made the list. And then Deion Jones, of course, Ducks with a linebacker on here. Doesn't surprise you at all. 10 interceptions. That's why he made the list. I went with Clowney. The things that you do with Clowney, he is one of the few players. Of course, I also have to do this for Donald, but Clowney made the playoffs. Donald didn't. That's why Clowney got the vote for me. But those two players in particular, I always have to earmark every single offensive play, where they're playing, what side, where they moved. And then I got to make sure I'm keeping in a linebacker. Keeping in a running back, keeping in a tight end, somebody to help me block, because those two guys will absolutely wreck your game, wreck your season if you allow them to. And you have to take note. I took Clowney for Defensive Player of the Year.
I hate to say I agree with you. I don't like to pick my own guys. Clowney actually did end up with 20 sacks at the end of the season. TJ Green and Jones are two guys you have to keep an eye on. But like I said, they're not, and I hate to say the word devastating, but Donald, if you don't double team Aaron Donald, he's in the backfield every play, and you see him twice a year. Thankfully, I don't see him twice a year. Dawson does crazy things with Donald. And same thing with Clowney for me. Clowney sets the tempo for my defense. If Clowney can get back there and put pressure on quarterbacks, make them throw bad throws, it changes the game. In retrospect, if he can't get back there, if you're hitting him with a running back, I say linebacker like you, running back or a tight end and double teaming him, taking him away, it's a big deal if Clowney can't get back there. And I pick Clowney. I don't like to pick my own guys. I do think Clowney is a game changer, and like I said, the playoffs helps a lot. I think he's the only one. Him and Jones are the only ones in the playoffs on that one. And I think Jones is getting a little shade because he is Ducks on there. But I think Clowney gets it, even though I think he's down by one vote right now to TJ Green, which if TJ Green got it, he's well deserving. TJ Green has been an amazing player this year, but I cast my vote for Clowney.
I am filing a petition because TJ Green made it with 11 interceptions, but my guy last year that I think had 13 or 14 interceptions didn't even make the
Right.
list. They couldn't even be
Right.
voted on. And Peterson was so dominant for me last season.
Oh,
So
yes, sir.
I'm salty as hell over it. So TJ Green, if you win it, you got to share that with Peterson because he deserved it also. Let's look at Coach of the Year, and then we'll move over to Most Valuable Player. Now, Coach of the Year was not record-wise or any of that. This was, or do I have these wrong? Let me look at Most Valuable Player. Oh yeah, no, this is not Madden-wise. This was the coach who contributed a lot, who really represented what the OMFL community, what the grown folks community is all about. 3 good guys on the list. I personally, I'll just tell you, I wouldn't have put Pin on the list personally. I always say Pin. It's the Kingpin. I don't know why that messes me up. It just does. I'm sorry, Kingpin. Your name jacks me up all the time. I wouldn't put him on the list because he's never in chat. I mean, we'll hear from him, I don't know, 6 times a week, whatever it is. Now, I will say Tavon is always on the chat. He's always posting articles. Colin's just a really great dude. I always struggle, though, voting for board members because I love all the board members. I think they just give so much to the league and the community. So I gave it to Tavon because he is around a lot. He does follow us on Twitter. He is very active with his postings. But you know what? There are a lot of guys. I think you could have made a shorter list of guys who probably maybe wouldn't have made this list than guys that should have made this list. These are all really good guys. I think anybody who wins it is deserving of it.
You're exactly right. Like I said, this is a good group of guys we have on here, and like I said, I've only been here for this Madden 17, but it seems like it's been forever since we first started this Madden. But this group of guys we got right now, we have a really great group of guys. And like I said, I think a lot of guys could have got this award. The Kingpin, like I said, he is quiet in the chat, but when he is in the chat, he's in the chat because he does come on there and yell Vikings, and especially if he's playing the Packers, you could give him the award every week because he gets really excited when he plays the Packers. I voted for Colin. Tavon, I think you did great. I just the stuff that Colin goes through for the scheduling and he takes care of stuff. He heads off stuff before it escalates. And like I said, I know he's a board member. I know a lot of that is his responsibility, but he goes beyond what he's asked to do. And just all around everything. You can go to Colin if you need something. And this comes from me too. If I need something, I can go to Colin, and Colin will help as much as he can. I think Colin was deserving of this, but like I said, I think there's a lot of guys in this league that could have been on this list or could have even been the award. Out of these 3, I picked Colin. I think he's well deserving of it.
That's it. I'm sorry, Tavon. I'm changing my vote. I'm voting for Colin. Let's move over to MVP. Now, this is for the Madden player and their record, how well they did with the game itself. Brady at 11-5, Dwayne at 11-4, Old Meathead at 11-4, Houday at 13-3. Let's see if we can wrap all of this up because we got one more segment to go to in the next 4 minutes. I know we went a little long tonight, but it's playoffs, all right? We had a lot to talk about. I went with Old Meathead. I think that he did the most with the least, and he really came out of nowhere. And so for me, I just like to honor that and recognize that with Dwayne, with Brady, and with Houday. I mean, these are guys that have been always in the hunt. 2 of those guys have been in the championship game last season. Brady is always in the hunt there. So those guys are always really, really great. I also look at the team with different owners, and I think that Meathead did the most with the least amount of talent that anyone on this list. So I went with Old Meathead, but who do you like for MVP? And if you tell me you didn't vote for yourself, I'm kicking you in the balls.
No, well, I guess I'll prepare to be kicked. Like I said, you gave a good argument for Meathead. Like I said, I expected out of Brady, and I know that's unfair for you, Brady. I just expect 10, 12, 13 wins every season, and I expect you to play Brady's way. But like I said, Meathead walked into a 49ers team that wasn't very good. I think they actually started Madden 17 as not a very good team, and he's in the last 2 seasons he built into a team that is scary.
One could argue that Kingpin made that team even worse. I mean, one could argue that.
Well, Kingpin, he's kind of like, I hate to say, he's like me in an extent. And when I say that, is that I got guys I like.
Yep.
Even though a lot of guys don't like him. Kingpin has guys he likes. And the way he builds his team is his way, and it just don't fit most people. It's kind of like I hate to say it. Just you have guys, you see different guys in this league how they build their teams, and it's just the way for them. It's not going to work for nobody else. That's me. That's how the 49ers were with the Kingpin. And like I said, it took a lot for Meathead to turn that team around into the juggernaut that they are right now. I threw my vote to Houday, and for multiple reasons. Like I said, last year he was 7-9, if I'm not mistaken. He's been 500 every season. I don't know what kicked into him last playoffs, but he's been on a tear, and he's built that Bengals team, like I said, into a great team all around. And I actually think, and I hate, and Houday plays a lot of these games. I know he feels bad. I know I mean, I hate it. I hate it for Houday. I hate seeing him like this because Houday's always so peppy, so outgoing, so friendly. We get on FIFA or get on stuff. He talks. And he hasn't been able to do that, and I hate it for him. And for him, a 13-3 season, going through all that, man, he's earned my vote on that one.
One day I'm going to get you to stop being so damn polite and apologizing all the time. Houday's an ornery old dude. I don't know what you're talking about. I feel bad for him too, but he is not the sweet guy. It's an ornery old dude that'll tell you real quick like what he feels about you. Houday, get yourself ready because you need to get back on the show. We miss you because Dwayne's making me sick with all these butterflies and sunshine that he's always spreading out there. So let's put a little bow on the show. It's been a good show. We've talked about a lot. We've put some hot takes out there. I hope that guys spread this around and talk about the show. We've even had some callers come and go on the show tonight. So thank you guys for listening to us ramble for the last 40 minutes. But in the next minute or two, let's go ahead and see if we can talk about our Outside the League segment. And the reason I thought this would be interesting is we do have multiple, this is questionable, but we have multiple MLB leagues that we are connected to. And so some of us in the league have begun to play MLB. Maniac, you need to get your stuff figured out and come join this new league that Houday is formed here. All right. So just call EA, call the show, like call the president. I don't care. Call somebody, get it figured out so that you can come play with us. You're a good dude and we want you to come play. But if you haven't played MLB The Show yet, or if you have played MLB The Show, you will realize something very quickly, and that is that those servers are trash. And I personally have a completely new respect for EA Sports, Madden, and all of the games that we have gotten. Now, yes, they're not always perfect, and yes, there are flaws that have to be patched, but if you want to find out how bad it could be, go grab the show, throw it in, and try to play somebody online. So our last segment that I wanted to talk about was your thoughts on the trash that is MLB The Show servers.
It shocked me, honestly. I hadn't had a show game in a few seasons, and I expected. I guess I've been spoiled by Madden, and Madden has a slip up every once in a while. For the most part, Madden's been really stout, and really solid. And I expected that out of the show, even though it was a new game, even though they hadn't had the patches yet. But it's disappointed. Me and you had a great game going. 7th inning, mid swing, it freezes. You got Maniac. He can't even get into an online game. Like I said, we tried to do a draft one night. We could get 4 people in the draft because it kept kicking people out. I'm just really disappointed. I figured being as big of a game as it is, they would have their stuff together a lot more. I guess just a lot more together. Like I said, I don't think we had problems like this on Madden when it first came out. Could be wrong because I didn't jump into Madden with y'all till September. But I don't think it was this bad at all.
No, Madden. I have never played Madden ever that has been even close to this. The game is always very playable, always ready to go online. Yes, there's some small tweaks that have to be done to Madden, but I've never seen anything like this. And if there is an issue, the patch is usually out very relatively quickly so that online leagues can get started. I will say, though, that the show's saving grace is that Road to the Show mode is one of the best modes that have ever been created. It's a pretty outstanding mode, and that's a saving grace for them. But if you are into online gaming and online leagues, it is complete wet, hot trash, and it should be set on fire and burned, and the people that work at the show should all be fired. Seriously, though, get it together. Get your product together. This is ridiculous. I don't understand. We're not paying $20 for these games. I mean, we're dropping 60, 65, some people 75, $80 on these games. You already spent $400-500 on the system. Some of us have controller. Like, there's a lot of money in this is people's hobbies. Get the stuff right. You get paid good money to put out a good product that people are paying for. Get it right, or don't release it. One or the other. You have all year to get this ready. Get it ready. Get it right. Fix it up. Hopefully they'll get that fixed though soon. We'll be able to get the Dirty Dozen going. Hopefully Priest will get his league, Quest for Glory, going, and everything will be hunky dory, and the sun will shine again. So, give me your final closing thoughts. We've talked about a lot tonight. The playoffs are here. This is going to be a fun time. The off season will be here before we know it. Hopefully we'll do a podcast later this week that will be all about the off season. So give me some final closing thoughts on the show tonight.
Like I said, you have it's that time of the year where you have the playoff excitement. You have the guys who are ready for the off season excitement. I was excited this morning watching the first playoff game. Actually, wasn't the first one, but the playoff game this morning, Eagles and Redskins. I think at one point we had 11, 12 people watching, if I'm not mistaken. I like seeing that. I like seeing people that are interested in watching the games. But I do like seeing that we're in, I think this is season 4. Fixing to go in season 5. Yes, the 4th season. Everybody's still excited. Everybody's still excited for the off season, and everybody's still excited about the playoffs. Even some of the teams, like I said, that aren't in the playoffs. They're talking playoffs. They're watching playoffs. I just like seeing that everybody's staying involved at this point.
Yeah, there will be a lot of information coming out in the next 48 hours. Some minor, listen to me, that's not even a word, Nate. Some minor, that's my Cajun mouth. The brain and the mouth in Cajun country do not always work together. Sometimes that Bluetooth connection does come undone and they do not properly work. So you guys have to excuse me on that. But over the next 48 hours, there will be some important information with some minor tweaks to some rule language as we tie up and close up some loose ends that are there. The incentive plan is going to be completely revamped. Huday and I have been working on that. It has been just up to us to go out and find out what people have done and give our best votes and nominations. This will now go over to a point system. Guys will not only know what it takes to earn the gold, silver, bronze award, but you will have to track your own progress and submit something to Huday for him to go and check out. We will start our instant classic games, and a form will be put out so you guys can submit your games to be an instant classic and make the form for that. All kinds of really great stuff. The toilet bowl started tonight. So Huday or Maniac, I don't have time. One of you guys rip us out a really cool graphic. Get us a cool graphic for the toilet bowl going. Colin's running that. Tampa Bay, I'm about to come calling because I got stuck in the toilet bowl this year. The playoffs are going to be rolling. The off season is going to be here. Don't forget to go post your votes for the incentive or the end of the year awards. We're going to start the draft night. I'm going to get all the off season threads up here in the next 48 hours. Before you know it, man, it's going to be super duper busy, and we're going to have a whole lot of fun. So, D-Wayne, thank you again for being on the show and taking out on your Sunday Easter night to be with. We went a little long tonight, but that's okay. I'll have to beat the wife off with a stick, but hopefully she doesn't beat me too hard. It's been a great day. It's been a great weekend. I'm ready for some sleep. We'll get this all edited out and put out there for everybody. So, for D-Wayne, for all of the OMFL board and leadership here at the OMFL and grown folks, we appreciate you listening to us ramble. Good luck in the playoffs and the toilet bowl. Have fun this off season and help me find 3 more owners so we can get full again. We'll see you on the other side, fellas. Peace.
Good one, guys.
Fail. Second.